Oh, hey. Yeah, I was just ignoring you. Okay, so let's talk about what it means to ignore this world or ignore the 3D that many people in the Neville community call reality, or the stage world, or the world of appearances, right? Whatever you want to call this, okay? How do we fully grasp when Neville says that circumstances don't matter? What does that even mean? Because people say that, and then they use it very militantly. They're like, just say circumstances don't matter, or 3D doesn't matter, and they say it so matter of fact. Guarantee you those people that are saying it so matter of fact may have done it once or twice, but I guarantee you there's another issue where that's harder for them. Okay, and the reason why I say it this way is because those people who are saying it so black and white need to have a little bit more compassion. Okay, because here's the thing. When you have grown up in an environment that you have been told is real and is the only reality for 7 years, for 18 years, for 43 years, for 72 years, it doesn't matter, right? That's what you're going to think. You're not only going to think about it, you're going to fight for it, because that is part of your belief system. It's now part of your behaviors. It's part of your relationships. So for people to say just ignore 3D, that's not only going to sound impossible, to you it's going to feel impossible. Okay? So let's get that right on the table, okay? Be more compassionate, be loving, and be understanding. But also, let's understand it. What does it mean? How can we ignore? Okay, because if you look up the root etymology, or the actual root word of ignore, it means to not know. Or you could even say it this way, in our new way, it means to unknow. Okay? Now, how do you do that? Because ignoring, I could ignore you like I did at the beginning of this video. You could ignore other people. There's hundreds of people who do it on the subway, right? No matter what country you're in, people are literally right armpit like lengths away. Like you can probably smell what they are wearing or not. And you're like, I can't ignore that. But you're still ignoring them, right? You're not focusing on them. And that's what ignoring is. It's about focus. It's about attention, right? What are you giving your attention and your energy and your emotion to and towards? And when I say that, again, I'm saying in here, but also out here. Because people think, oh, I'm just going to live in here and then forget everything about here. But see, that's part of the circumstances as well, right? You're now living in this appearance world as if you're the new person as well as living in here, okay? And you're creating a cohesive and intimate relationship between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, okay? So when Neville says circumstances don't matter, hear this, okay? What he's really, really getting at is that things can change. That's really what he's saying. Fundamentally, at the heart of it, he's not saying that you should hate everything that isn't in line with your desire, or that you should somehow, think negatively of something, or that everything that you see is in your way of getting your desire. That is not what he's saying, right? You can love a tree, you can love people, you can love your car. That's not what he's saying. He is quite literally saying is, don't give it the meaning that makes this object or person or memory or feeling in your world have power. That's what ignoring means. Don't give your attention, which gives it power. Okay? Hence why I think a much better way to understand how to ignore, or circumstances don't matter, and understanding it is, where are you putting your attention? To me, that's a much better understanding than all this pressure of I've got to ignore it. I've got to ignore it. I've got to ignore it. Right? And so then you might even say, well, yeah, but there are people, or I've ignored it, as in I haven't given it my attention. Exactly. So then that's what ignoring is, rather than trying to fight for a certain definition of a correct way to understand ignoring or not ignoring. It's about giving your attention to something, okay? So the more that you do, you're not ignoring it, okay? And the more that you do, you're giving your power to it. You're animating it, as Neville says. And that's a beautiful way to understand this. The more that you give attention to something, you animate it in your world. You bring it to life. Okay, you want to actually remove the life from it. Okay, so here's a really, really cool technique. all right, from NLP that I want to give you to help you ignore, okay? And there's actually more to this. There's probably going to be part 2 to this video, okay? And then I'm also going to talk more about detachment in connection with this in another video as well, so check that out. But here is the technique, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to create a scene, okay? And this is not to create or anything, but just create the scene that you don't want. Okay, and you could feel the feelings. You could even turn up the knob, right, and amplify those feelings, fears, concerns, whatever. And then what I want you to do, though, is I want you to do 2 things. I want you to start removing the color. Okay, so imagine there's a knob at the bottom of your screen. Yes, even if you're thinking from the first person, right? And I want you to imagine there's a couple knobs. One is going to actually remove all of the color. So every time you turn it down, it loses its color, loses its color, loses its color, loses its color, right? And then there's another one, okay? And that knob, as soon as you start turning it, it starts distancing itself from you. It's further and further and further, further and further and further. And as it furthers itself from you, start furthering the emotions away from you. Okay, so as soon as it starts moving away, imagine at the same time as it's moving away, the intensity of the emotions are going down and down and down and down and down and down and down, right? And you begin getting to the point where that image is distant, and you practice that every day, right? With anything that you don't want in your world. And you do its opposite to actually amplify images in your world that you want to show up. Okay, so try that, and I guarantee you will definitely see how ignoring becomes pretty much a muscle, and you get really, really good at it. Hope this was helpful.